Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is Wednesday. Happy to hump day. The week goes on slow and steady, and the Federal Reserve is going to make its announcement in something like 4 hours. Let's see, where's it at? 8:30, so 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. 5.5 hours from now, they'll make their announcement if it's 3/4 or 1%, and we will see what they do with that. That should be very interesting. See, I don't hear my voice. What's up with this machine? I guess everybody can you hear me there, Robin? I'd imagine so. That will be the next shoe to drop, and then we'll see where it all goes from there. And I guess I'm not sure if he has a big press conference or a small press conference, and he'll start to describe, the different things that he's involved in. I guess in that sense, we'll end up hearing the, what they're thinking. I thought that they were going to do. Oh, here's June durable good orders. 1.9 account estimated was minus half a percentage point. It came out as almost 2 percentage points up instead. It's a 2.4 swing. That's pretty wild. June durable goods ex transportation up 0.3 actual versus 0.2. Chips package vote today. So anyway, that's where we're at the moment. And what we see at this point in time is, New Bedford, Mass. Geez, I haven't seen that. That's something. How about that? New Bedford. And so we'll have to, see how it all plays out. I would imagine 3/4 of a point, and then we go into. Let's see. So we're ready to go into August. So that means that the next one will be in September, like the second week of September, first week of September. And I don't know if they want to. I don't know how they're going to play that. If they're going to pause and wait, because then the following one, or would they be better off doing that? I don't know. The election is November 9th, and I think then the next one could be, if it's the first week of September, then the next one would be, what would that be? That would be like the last week of October. I don't know if they want to raise rates again right in front of the election. That's normally something the Democrats rarely do. They do it on Trump, but they won't do it on a Democrat. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. Bonds keep on telling us. Yesterday someone came in and talked about the inverted yield curve. We looked at it. It was towards the end of the webinar, and again, we see this calamity go on. We're in a recession at the moment, and so tomorrow that'll be confirmed. But, the numbers don't mean a lot because people are starting to say they're looking past all this. They're looking past the next 6 months. They really believe that the Congress and the government's going to change so dramatically into the favor of the economy, away from the socialism stuff that, and green stuff that they're buying. That's what they're calling it. What are they calling it today? Upside down day. Because instead of people selling things, they seem to be buying things. Like Boeing was up like $6, and Microsoft is up like, I think, 8%. And Alphabet, Google was up, and so forth. And so it's like they're bottom fishing. You can see it, and the stats always show, like what we're seeing. The Federal Reserve in Georgia, which is the one that always talks about GDP, they're in charge of following the numbers, says it's going to be minus 1.6 tomorrow. So, hey, Metho, how are you doing this morning? So I guess what we're really saying is that we're in a recession, and in 2 recessions, we're going into the 7th month of it at this point. And so normally bottoms occur like anywhere from 6 to 8 months into a recession. So money is looking at that and buying into the markets when normally they would not be buying into the markets. So that is, that's really what it comes down to. and it's confusing.
Friends, family, thank you for joining me. I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm out here on location on my ranch.
There we go. Something got clicked on there. But in the end result is that what we're going to see is, it's going to be a confusing few months, but you can see the market is looking forward to it. In other words, forward. They're looking forward, not looking forward for confusion. Looking forward, like they're thinking, where is the market going to be in January? Here we are at the end of July, and so markets do that. They anticipate. It's the classic buy rumor, sell the news. And that's the way it usually works. And so what we're watching right now is this. Too bad, I guess you could say, too bad that the Fed meetings weren't just 2 weeks off schedule-wise, because that would be a lot easier for them, I would think, to be able to raise rates and so forth. But anyhow, that is really what it comes down to at this point. All right, as you can see on there, you can see the dollar index. It's up last couple of days. We mentioned that yesterday, how they're buying the dollar again, and I know that doesn't make any sense because it's at the highs of the highs. I was looking at the silver gold ratio, which is really looking tough. Doc, you can give me a title for today so that I can make a thumbnail. Okay, good. I'm looking at the gold. The gold. I think we'll talk about that today. That'll be the thumbnail. The gold title. Let's see. It'll be the gold silver ratio. There we go. So what we're seeing is, again, I'm comparing the gold silver ratio relative to the gold silver ratio has a natural tendency to kind of top out and bottom out at recessions and so forth. So that's what's interesting about the gold silver ratio is we're seeing it incredibly wide right now, and so it may be getting to the point. I think it's at a 100.3 or something like that. So what we may be seeing is that the recession is showing us that we may be, coming to the bottom of some of this. We've been talking about it too, the metals complex, where we think that they were going to find a bottom going into November, maybe October, something like that. And since it's so wide right now, it's going to match up with the interest rates, and it's going to match up with the recession numbers and so forth. There's a lot of math out there that shows that the ratio is coming to maybe its last, bad point, I guess you could say, enormously wide the way it is. So it's something also in there to think about. I think it was yesterday that Franzel was asking about like what little tip-offs do you see a lot of times when you're looking at different pairs trades and and different things like that. I think that's really that's what it really comes up to, is that the metals complex, they may start moving back into the gold and buying the silver again. Silver may finally perk up, and I know that Robin saw some technical analysis that made it look like there was a good chance. I think right now the gold silver ratio is at the highest since 1990s recession. So we could be turning up. This could be the beginning of a better move into the metals complex, and that's something to basically think about. So, all right, and that's why we see, in some ways, it is confusing to see the dollar so strong, because normally when the dollar is strong, the metals are weak. You would think that the dollar would roll over a little bit and start to indicate that the metals complex and silver and gold are going to start to pick up. I mean, where are we? Just a quick look onto the gold side of this. or even the silver side of it, you can see that's the Bitcoin is trying to lift up a little bit. It's been in a sell for 5 days now. But there's the gold. You can see gold is trying to lift up. It's up for the day, but it's really in the 1700 area. I mean, that's not exactly exciting in the sense of it doing anything good. And here we have the silver trading in the $18 area, 18 and a half, 1865 area. So, it's trying to lift up also. We're starting to try to get some strength in there also at the same time. So, all right. Let's jump over to the currencies. There we are. And let's check out the Swiss this morning. We'll go to the Swiss and then to the euro. And where's the Swiss at? Right. It's around here somewhere. There it is. We had somebody. Who was it? Was it Franzel playing with the Aussie? Someone was playing with the Aussie. Was it Metho? Was it you playing with the Aussie? It's in that buy. It doesn't seem to be lifting well, but it is in a plus, and it's in a weekly buy too. So you got to be very careful there trying to be short that. I think Metho or Franzel was short the thing. I think that's what it was. As you can see right there, there's the Swiss. And the Swiss is kind of just orbiting around. Let's put the Swiss up on J4X. It's not really going anywhere particular. It's been much more calm than a lot of the others. See how it's kind of trapped inside its little range there that's developed? The high, the low, the low. And this low is turning into a higher low at the moment. And that high was lower than that high, but the low was lower than that low. Now this high is lower than this high. And let's see if this low turns out to be higher than this low. So I'm always bottoming in here somewhere. And you can see the indicator was playing with the daily buy number yesterday on the weekly basis. We'll remove that. It's just underneath it again. And you can see we've been in a daily sell since here. So we're keeping an eye on it, seeing what they're trying to do to a thing. Do to it. Metho. Every asset is leveraged. They raise and fall with the Fed's actions. I know. It drives me crazy. That's why gold is down. Yeah, gold's down for a few reasons, and that's definitely one of them. An increase in cost to carry, and then the second thing is that the dollar itself is strong and it just can't back off. It just doesn't back off. Money is rushing towards the dollar because there's not many places you can put money in and expect to get it back. And that's what it all comes down to. In many ways, America is the new Switzerland. And it's kind of odd, no more than a century ago, they were doubting themselves of being anything remotely close to being like a Switzerland. And now that seems to be unfortunately America seems to be that way. As I take a sip of water here. Yeah, so that's really the challenge we're looking at here. And some of like the recession, the ratio, I guess at the top of some of these recessions have been high on the gold and silver ratio. And let's see if we can make this bigger. I'm looking at some of the math here. And so, we're at a point now where the ratio, I guess it got up to 123 at one point. And so it should start to contract. We should see this thing start to contract down, at least into the 70s or 80s, something like that. All right, let's take a look at the euro now. Let's see what the euro is up to. There we are. You can see there on J4X trading at the 101s. It is hanging, how many here? A lot of people here for years have been saying they're going to see par, and here we are. It's at par, and we were in, let's put it up on the screen. You can see it on J4X. It's in the red here now for the last couple of days. It's breaking down. Green line's below the fast-moving stochastic. And at the same time, right there, we've been in a weekly sell, from the 106 area, and it went down and broke it. We were in a daily sell for a long time through all that, right to the bottom of it. Then went into the daily buy the following day after making a new low of 99.52. So, I know that a lot of people said to me, Doc, when's it going to go there, or is it going to go there? And I'm like, I just follow the math in the end. Do I think it will? I always thought it probably would because everybody wants it to, and they usually get that, and that's usually like a great bottom, and that's where we're at the moment. That's where the whole situation is. The euro is playing with this new type of range where it's playing with the par. And a lot of people I've heard from Dukascopy and so forth have been looking for this for a long time. They've been expecting, they think that, and we know that the euro needs to be weaker. We've seen the ratios where honestly, like, matter of fact, there was a headline out there that said that Italy needs to leave the euro because it's the only way it can survive. I mean, Draghi really hurt the the Italian banking system. And at the same time, they need to have their own currency to be able to get out of their financial mess. They need to be able to float bonds and so forth. And I guess that's the next step. They get rid of Draghi, and now they're going to probably try to form a government that might, do the Brexit thing. And we'll see how that all plays out. All right, and then what else could we say about the ratio? Well, we're still thinking about that. The gold and silver ratio represents how many ounces, if people are wondering what I'm talking about when I say the ratio, of silver are equivalent to 1 ounce of gold. And historically, the ratio is set by governments to reestablish monetary values. For example, the Roman Empire officially set the ratio at 12 to 1. That's a long time ago, Since 1687, the gold and silver ratio has wavered between 14 and 100. And so, right now, it's at the high end of the range. It takes a lot of ounces of silver to buy gold. It's at like 103 now, I believe it is. 100.3. Let's see. And we have seen, like I said, during the COVID 2 years ago, we saw it up to 123. So, at this point in time, we're expecting to see, maybe it's correlating with this crazy odd period with Mr. Biden and the Greens. I guess you call them the Greens. I don't know what they are. They don't sound green to me, what they're talking about, but they like to call themselves Greens. They seem to be anti anything that's energy from. First of all, I did strings last week, 2022 strings in Vienna, and I was confused where their physicists calling about renewable energy. I've never seen that in the physics books. I'm very confused by that when some physicists say that renewable energy. Energy that's against Sir Isaac Newton's all work. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, so you can't have renewable energy. You could have kinetic energy, and they should call it that, kinetic energy, but it's not renewable energy. Anyway, all right, from there, let's jump over to the British pound and see what the British pound is up to this morning. I was surprised how firm it was yesterday. It still is firm here. Now all we need to do is see it get into a weekly buy. That would be nice. Now, we've been like 13 or 14 weeks now in the sell. And that would be nice, but look at it. We're at the top end of the range here, so there's a lot of pressure on the J4X. You see that? And over here, it looks like it looks, because we have the Bollinger thing up top, makes our lines look a little weird, but in the end result is that, let's see if we can widen this. The cable is not, showing any clarity as far as I'm concerned. I just don't see it. I mean, we're in a daily buy from here. It is climbing, but not at any real quick velocity, The weekly, as you can see here, it's been in that weekly sell since back here, and it tried to get into the buy there and failed. Maybe this time it'll get into the buy and succeed. But right now, that'll be like next week at this point. I don't see it now unless they really freak out the markets from the Fed's statements today and the Fed's numbers. Let's say they raised it 1, that might shake up the markets a little bit. I kind of doubt it. Everybody's expecting, a right around 3/4 to 1 either way. It wouldn't be that freaky. All right, so from there we slide over to the Turkish lira. See what's up with that. I saw the dollar Turkish lira. It's almost at 18 again. I don't know if the government in Turkey is going to be able to do anything about it this time. I really liked what they did last time, but somehow or another something has broken down there. You can see today's high is 1793, almost 1794. That was the drop dead spot. So they're taking that, trying to go after that high. Now, when we go and look at and let's put let's put it up on J4X. Then there's the Euro Turkish lira up on J4X, and let's put it up on there on Chicago Quant, and it's right there. It's not taking out those highs. We'll just show you that really quick. See, there's the highs there, that dotted line. So they're not even remotely close. So it's kind of, like I said, trading the Turkish lira, when you trade it with the dollar, it's like trading an index. When trading it with the Euro Turkish lira, it's trading it like a currency. And that's where we are at the moment. You see that, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Slow, steady, you can see it's being used more correctly than when trading against the dollar. It looks like a currency. It acts like a currency when trading against looks like a good pairs trade. Whereas when you see it trading against the dollar, it just seems to be, one-way street, just constantly up, 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 up. Can I say up more times? It just goes up. All right. From there, we'll slide over to Canadian, see what the Canadian is up to. Right there. So it went into the buy there yesterday, the Canadian, and now it's right back again underneath in the sell again. Really choppy. It went into the weekly sell last week and was above it today. Not today, but yesterday it was above it. And Monday it was flirting with it, and now it's underneath it again. When we see the weakness in the Canadian, we assume that we're seeing some strength in the oil market. So let's take a look at crude oil, West Texas Intermediate for the time being. And we'll go back and check out Brent after that when we go back into the energy sector. You see it was a green yesterday, and it is trying to bottom, but we're getting a red hinky today as we speak. You can see over here on Chicago Quant, we're getting the combination. We're getting a red dot, and we're getting a green dot. It's doing that little battle thing again going on. Oh, wait a minute. That was not Canadian. That was the crude. So the crude is feeling a little pain there. Let's take a look at it over here. Yeah, it's up a little bit also. It's just up like half a buck or something like that. I think it settled yesterday at 54, and it's trading at it's about 50 cents. So that push on the energy side, and for a long time, gold and silver would be connected to the oil market. They had a ratio to that, and it kind of followed it for a long time. And I guess you can say, Janos from Dukascopy, the head analyst, basically showed how much the fundamentals just don't mean anything anymore. He did videos on that, and I've been so happy to talk about that because I really find it important for people to realize that the fundamentals are definitely not functioning the way they're supposed to function, the way they used to work. They just don't do that anymore, and it's a real disappointment. Real disappointment. And what else can we say about all that? I guess that's about it. And from there, we slide over to the South African Rand. Let's see what the ZAR is doing. Right there. And you can see it's trying to lift up into the buy there. It's down for the day, but with a red and a green, of course, and it's in a weekly buy still. So, we're seeing, we see gold up a little bit, so we're seeing the South African Rand dip down. That's pretty much what the story is there. Now, the bigger question is that, where are we on that weekly? Yeah, we're still in a weekly sell with the gold. That's the problem. And when it comes to the South African Rand, we're in a weekly buy. So that pressure. And again, I have to throw this caveat. I've never seen this, and I in all the 40 some odd, almost 50 years of trading, they are staring at the midterm elections like a dog looking for a bone. Honestly, I've never seen it so. Usually, they don't like to talk politics until like September, October. But the media talks about it every day now, and how the cavalry is coming and how they can stop Joe Biden and his policies and so forth and so on. It just doesn't stop. I've never seen it this focused, and the polls are so bad for Mr. Biden. We've never seen a president this unfavorable. He's like, no president in modern times has ever been so unfavorable than Mr. Biden. It's the weirdest things. All right. From there, we go over to, let's see, what do we do? Oh, we go to the Canadian. No, not the Canadian. We go to the yen. That's it. Go to the yen there. There's the yen. Yen trying to lift up. You can see it's trying to fight its way into a daily buy. It's been in that weekly buy since basically all of the last 2 months. So almost 8 weeks now. Let's put the yen up there. And you see it's got a little green going on today right there. The line has moved above the zero line, and it's at the bottom end of the range. So the pressure is on the yen again. And being in a buy for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 9th week in a weekly buy. So that pressure has been on since... Let's see if we can show you to you real quick. Yeah, you can see it right there. So right there you can see it. It's been in the buy since the what was that? Went into the daily buy on the can you see that? There's one more squeeze, or just move it over, I guess, like that. So you see we were in a buy, went into a sell for 1 week, failed at it, and went into a buy literally the next day as it went into the weekly sell. And it's been in a buy since the 120, almost the 127 area, a little underneath the 127 area. And the weekly buy closed that week in a weekly buy, and it's been a run, for, 13 points, something like that. 13 handles. Pretty good run. All right, from there, where do we go from there? Let's go over to, we'll go south of the border here and take a look at the Mexican peso. There we are. Yeah, you can see there. You can see on the Mexican peso moving back down, and in this case here, you can see it's trapped, almost at the 50 percentile. Between the 0.38 or 0.62, however you want to look at it. It's sitting there between the two yellow lines, and the green line is the 50 percentile of the top end of the range. South of the border, Mexico is doing pretty well. They're a good oil producer, so their economy's moving along. Unfortunately, the border situation is all upside down with Mr. Biden, so that makes things even worse, giving the cartels more equity, I guess you could say. It's going to be a fascinating 2 last years. I don't think Mr. Biden gets past the 23rd. You know, somehow or another he retires or something, does something. But we're going to see. It's going to be very fascinating politics for the next 2+ years in America. Really odd, crazy 2 more years. All right. From there, that pretty much finishes off our currencies. You can, if anybody wants to see something, just shout it out. We'll go take a look at it. But at this point in time, we're going to drift over to the metals complex and maybe get a little bit deeper into the ratio thing again. It has been fascinating. I'm seeing some interesting combinations with recession and the gold and silver ratio, and we could be finishing off at the top. All we need now is, let's go over to the complex there. What we need to get into a weekly buy. That's what we need. We need to see the broader trends get into the weekly buy. Same thing with silver. We need those broader trends to get into the weekly buy. And you can see here in silver, we went, since April, we've only been in a weekly sell. A weekly buy once. That was it. That's it. Just 1 week since April for almost 4 months. That's almost 4 months now. All of April, all of May, all of June, and now all of July. It's going to take some work, but it needs to happen for us to believe that we're going to see the ratio shift. And and same thing with the gold. It needs to do that, and we would expect. We'll take a look at platinum here. We would expect to see platinum be the answer to that. In other words, when platinum gets back into the buy, I would expect see some strength. This is the 8th week in a sell. If we see platinum get back into that buy, and then we see the gold or the silver get into buys, I think we're going to see some strength in there, and that's where you buy that ratio, because I think it's going to trade down into the 90s, maybe even in the high 80s. All right. Let's see what copper looks like. I just got a text. Let me just see who this is. But they try every day. Yes, so there you are. There, let's check out copper. And there's copper there. That's been in a weekly sell since second week in June. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks now in a sell. I guess we'll see all of them do something on the upside. We'll start to see the buying, and when that starts to happen, that's when I think the ratio will be worth jumping into. Let's see. Let's put it up on J4X. There's copper. Well, I'm really surprised that it even broke underneath the 4s. Boy, that must be the true indication of a weak economy when you see your copper price drop like that, because the Chinese hold that product up really well. And you see it tried to get in. That buy is not there, so it just slid into the sell, and it's on an upwardly projection. You can see it's went into the sell here. And it's actually, let me just go and check the ratio, the exchange chart itself. But yeah, you can see that it's definitely feeling the what's that? September? Yeah, it's September copper. Where's September copper? Let me just take a look at the September copper chart and make sure it's right. So I'm going to the exchange chart. Yeah, it's doing the same. So that was in a sell. Where was that a sell? The 21st. There's the 21st. And that's right. I think it's right. Yeah. 22nd. Oh, I see what's going on there. So 21st is right there. And it was up for that. And that makes sense. Now, how does that go into a sell when that's a buy? That makes no sense either. That's a sell right there. We don't have anybody following it, do we? So that's a sell. That's a buy. What's up with these lines? You just shift the... So what is it? That? These things are shifted. So that goes like that. And that was the sell. And then these are in sells. Let me just double check that. Right. Good. So that's a buy. Oh, I see what's going on. So this one, and this one are wrong. That's what's wrong with that. We'll have to fix this chart here. No wonder it had it in a buy right there. We'll have to double check. We'll have to go clean it up. Let me see if I can get it to clean up itself. Or do I have to go in and manually do it? NYMEX metals. Nope. So that's supposed to be, that is wrong price wise. The high and the low is all wrong there. And that is also wrong. Because on the, no, okay, it's not even in there. That's what the problem is. Alright, so let's fix that. There you are. And so that's it live right now on the 27th. So that's wrong. This is wrong price wise, and that is basically right. Trading at 3.38. Yeah, that's it. Because look at it, it's on Ducascopy at 3.38. So we're gonna have to clean that up. Somehow or another, the data got shifted around in that. We'll go fix that. Yeah, that's another surprise in many ways. Is that when we saw it drop through the $4 area. That must have been like a panic move of the lows, and that's why we're seeing the buying in the equity markets and so forth, is that they're anticipating that we're coming to the end of the recession. So in other words, once, I know this seems odd, but when a recession is finally declared, most of the time it bottoms out within 2 to 4 months. I think they say that the latest is 8 months total it's happened, but so money is starting to dollar cost average into this much more than normal. Matter of fact, I saw where money managers were carrying cash of up to 9%, which is a lot. Remember, they're paid to buy, and so they don't usually drag around 9% of money. They usually are invested by like 95%. If they have 3% or 5% in cash, that's really a surprise. And that's pretty much what we're seeing here. Is that things like silver, or I'm sorry, the metals in general and copper in particular, found a way to break that $4 area up in here, which was really surprising because for a long while it became a really good support. Let's just throw it up on J4X and make it wider. From March of, was that 2000? Yeah, March of 2000 all the way until what is that? May of 22. Over 2 years, it stayed inside that nice range. Okay. There we are. And we will fix this after the webinar. I might even fix it right now if nobody cares. I mean, in other words, no one doesn't mind. I think I'll fix it right now because I don't want to see this thing inaccurate. All right, so that's that. Let me just go like that, and you can see it as we change it. We put the data in from the exchange itself. Let's see, right there. And if anybody wants to see anything particular, just shout it out and we'll go after it. And I'm just going to straighten out the high-grade copper. Right there, it's a September contract. There. So what we're looking at is, which one was it? So that one, the 22nd. Let me see what the 22nd. 22nd's right. Okay. Then the 25th is wrong. 25th. Okay. Let me find it. Where is it? I just had it. The 25th. 25th is, that's what the problem is. And then let me fix the next one. The 26th, the same thing. There we are. Now it'll be updated. Okay. There we are. Now we will straighten that out and it should be fine. Thank goodness for the exchanges. There you are. That makes more sense. And so it's been in the buy since here. That makes total sense. Because I think that's how it is on our spreadsheet. That makes more sense. That's what I was going to say. Aiming down and we're in a sell. That's so rare. Now, no doubt that this is a neutral no matter what, because we're in a weekly sell. So, but these days were wrong. Now they're right. All right. From there, let's see. We've done all four metals. So let's go over to the energy sector. Let me just save this too. Alright, saved. Now we go over to the energy sector and you can see here's crude oil. It was plus, now it's minus. We've dropped, we were up in the 96 when we looked at it last time about 25 minutes ago. When we were looking at the Canadian dollar. So we're seeing this drop. So this is dropping. I would imagine we just for the fun of it, let's go back to the Canadian. I bet the Canadian has moved back up. Yeah. There's the Canadian right there. It's almost at the highs of the day. Right on the edge of it. And then we go back to, and let's put Brent up on J4X. There's Brent. And that was two greens. Now we're seeing a red. You can see that pressure's on it. The line has been cutting through for a couple days. So, we've been seeing where it's been telling us that there was going to be some pressure on it. And every time it goes into a red, it kind of indicates that. I know that they did release 20 more million barrels here in the States. So that may be having a short-term effect. We'll see how that plays out by the end of the day. Let's go back to the back month. There's the November contract. And that's pushing down. We can get rid of that green. It was in the plus by a lot this morning. It's pressing down. And again, we're still in those weekly sells. The product that cannot get off its back. From there, we go over to natural gas. You can see here, now that's interesting, as natural gas sold off yesterday, but just missed going into the sell, and now today it's pressing into the sell. And let's take a look at natural gas. There's natural gas. This is a September contract. And that is wrong right there. What is up with that? Let's fix that. Somehow or another, the energies have gotten shifted around out of nowhere. It's still not fixing it. That's odd. Alright, let's fix that. Because I have natural gas going really high yesterday. Really jacking up to 941. So, and what's yesterday's high? Yesterday's high is 914. I have the exchange says it was 941.9. So let's fix that. Something's happened over that exchange, or the data coming in has been shifted out a little bit there. There's right there. Edit. There we go. And load. So yesterday was 941. Let's fix that. Nine 419. And let me just double check that. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now let's see. And was the settlement right? 87. 88. That's not too bad. I can take that little off a little bit. I don't mind that. There we go. Now let's see what it looks like. There we go. That's the way it was. And that's the action we're seeing today. That makes more sense. It's still in the buy, and it's not. It still hasn't gone low enough to break down. And you can see it over on. Let's see what J4X is showing us. J4X should be. I guess they're in the 28s. I don't think they went into the 29s yesterday. There's natural gas. But we're close. Look at that. Well, not that close, but 28.64. Yeah, I know. They do, don't they? They want to short this stuff, and we're in a weekly sell, so it's really tough. We've missed. The math has missed the opportunity, but then that's the way it goes sometimes. It goes into the daily buy, and we're in a weekly sell. It's a neutral at that point. You just have to stand it aside, or if you're a producer, it's a whole different story. Or if you have inventory, then then it's a whole different game. Interfering. Yep. But in the end result is that it's telling us one thing, and that is that the longer term trend is down and the shorter term trend is up, and our shorter term math is protecting us from the longer trend. So, I would have to say that what was it? The Siemens turbines, they turned them off or did something like that, and that gave it they jacked it up, and that was the what is that? That's the turbines for the Nord Stream 2 or something like that. I think that's what it really came down to, and that really freaked out a lot. That really did, and I guess that's what the problem is it's too much volatility of decision making. I guess that's the best way to describe it. There's just way too much volatility of decision making. So in other words, the Russian Federation comes out and says, okay, forget about it. We're going to, reduce 50% of what we're shipping. And, due to the fact that Mr. Biden is against drilling and selling natural gas, which we have an abundance of, and we have all the under Trump, we were the world's largest producer, the biggest swing producer. And so Mr. Biden has cut us back by a couple million, and that opens the doorway for crazy stuff like that to go on, And you can see the math is doing its best to keep you safe, but it's not making you money, and it's been a great move from the 6s to the 8s. So we know the short term it wants to go up. On the longer term, we know that it wants to go down. That's what it is on a week-to-week basis. So just scrunching. Oh, what happened there? Thinking over something. Let's see when it stops this. So yeah, that's the problem, is that the let's see, where's it at? Let's put the natural gas up on J4X. Is that it? No, that's not it. There's natural gas. Where are ya? There it is. And make that, and you can see, we've been in that weekly sell since what is that? Late June or mid-June, right? So we went into the weekly sell here, and it's gone down, and now it's brought itself back up, and most of our daily indicator has kept us safe, but it's not making us money. That's the problem. That's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes, as far as we're concerned, there's three positions. There's long, there's short, and there's neutral. In this case here, it's just telling us to be neutral because, we could walk in and there could be a major change in U.S. policy out of nowhere. And the next thing you know is we're looking at $4.50, $5 natural gas instead of $8.50 natural gas. And when you have that much inventory and all it comes down to is just literally hitting a switch when it comes to natural gas, we have the ability to generate enormous amounts of natural gas, and we can sell it internationally. And so that's probably why the math acts the way it's acting. Is it's saying basically it's not a place to be at the moment. There are times where the volatility is too great, and you do not want to be involved. I know it's like a drag, and you're like, oh man, I had an opportunity to be long, and your math kept me out, and I wanted to be long, and I knew it was going up. It's like, well, that's what options are for. If you're trading, option spreads and, binaries, you can be long. But if you're just trading the actual hard delta itself, the natural gas itself, it's hard to be long because you don't know when that shoe is going to drop. And one day, all of a sudden, from 8.5, it's trading at 6.5 in just a matter of a day. And that's what the math usually smells. Don't ask me how it does it. I call it a consciousness. It's a mathematical consciousness. The math itself is before there was a Fibonacci sequence. That's how unique it is in our math. It shows that it gives us signals before the Fibonacci signals even give us signals. So obviously this math that we've developed over the decades is something really unique in its own right. It's an actual consciousness. It's very strange. I find it enormously strange. But it's accurate. What can you do? I mean, no matter how strange it is, it's accurate. So that's what the issue is there with the oil, or in this case, the natural gas. And then when we do squeeze it up, you can see this is where it went into the weekly sell right there, and that's where it's at now. And the sells were nice. That was a winner. The buy there protected you. The sell there was kind of broke even or gave up a little bit, and then it went into a buy here, and you're in a sell, so you don't take that, so you're not short. And then it goes into a sell here, and it whips you. There's a loss there, trying to eat up some of the wins that you made here, but still you're ahead. And since then, it's stayed in a buy, and it's the strangest thing, but that's it knew that the Nord Stream situation was going to occur before it occurred. And it's a consciousness in its own right. And it's weird as all get out as far as I'm concerned. And so that's where we are in the natural gas universe. And when looking at, what was Brent? Let's just go back to the Brent, because we're being pulled around by the odd situation we've been watching. And we're not afraid to show you the math, admit that it's wrong. That weekly signal is wrong. But maybe what it's really telling us, when we see things like this, they always come back to be right. And what it might be trying to tell us is that there is great potential for a big drop in natural gas, as Metho mentioned. He says everybody wants to be short gas. Germany has fracking gas too. PL says ALOPL says you don't look at volume. No, we don't find volume to be. We have a volume indicator on the J4X, as you can see at the bottom, but we don't watch volume at all. We watch price action. It seems to be very indicative, very indicating of future movement. Now, the only time we pay attention to volume, which I'll show you something that's really odd, is that we have a product that we've been following for farmers. It's called oats, like in the cereals. And the volume is incredibly low. I mean, incredibly low. Like 20 contracts a day trade and 30 contracts a day. And it used to trade 3,000 and 5,000 contracts a day. And the volume is incredibly low, and the math has been incredibly accurate. And so it's still liquid. So, it brings a whole new question. I'm glad you brought that up. It brings a whole new question of, we always looked at volume as something liquid or not liquid, And here we are. We've been following the oat contract. And let me see if I can put it up there for you. And it really is telling us that the volume sometimes doesn't have to be there, but there is no liquidity, that's for sure. Now let me just show it to you. It blows my mind when it comes to the volume of oats. I mean, it's really weird. I said to Robin, I talk about that a lot lately. Him and I have talked about it. It's like it's a whole new lesson in volume. I mean, I've never really followed. I mean, I followed volume when I was on the floor. Open interest was always something interesting to follow. But the front contract traded 3 contracts so far today. 3 contracts, that's it. And our math is working very well on it at the same time, which is extremely odd. I mean, that should be, you go from, an open interest is like 867 contracts. It's like, what? There used to be 30,000 contracts open interest in the oats market. It's, part of the grain problem across the planet. Let me find it, and I'll put it up on the screen for you. But it is definitely a new lesson we've learned, that if it's I guess it's like that Al Einstein thing. It's relative, In other words, there is no volume out there. Open interest is enormously small, and like the December back month contract traded 27 contracts, and the March contract traded 2, and has an open interest of 251. It's like, whoa. That's normally I wouldn't even try to let my math try to do work on that. I would look at that and say, nah, that's so illiquid. And look at the accuracy of it. Here's the back month contract. It went into a sell in the $6 range. It has traded down to $4 and change, And it's trading like 20 and 30 and 40 contracts a day. That's it, which is incredibly insane. And the dailies have been wonderful. Look at it. It went into the sell here, stayed in the sell all the way to here. It was in a week. It was in a daily sell since June 16th all the way to June 16th to July 18th, over a full month, and it's trading 3 and 4 and 5 contracts a day and 20 contracts a day. And so ALOPL, I'm learning a lesson that I guess it's a combination of open interest and legitimate bids and offers. Actually legitimate. In other words, no one's out there playing with it because they can't deliver it. There's no inventory. And so anybody that makes a trade in there actually seems to be they really have oats. They've got it in a granary somewhere or whatever, but they've got it because the volume is ridiculous, just ridiculous. And normally I'd be like, stay away from this product, Three contracts in a major futures contract at the exchange every day? 5 contracts? My God, it makes no sense to me. And normally, volume is an indicator of liquidity, but not this time. And a September contract, which today only has 3 contracts traded, right there you can see the same situation. That's been in the daily sell since the $6 area back in the same time, back in mid-June, and is still in a daily sell. Still in a daily sell. And it's been in a weekly sell. So, there's one, like, where you look at the flip side of the natural gas, and you go, wow, math has been so wrong. The daily's been so right, but the weekly's been so wrong. And that's what we do. We're honest here about it all, and it does make me shake my head. It really does. I'm like, wow, that's so freaky. So anyway, traders, I think the closing message here is that I think we're getting ready to see some potential in the pairs trade of gold and silver, the ratio. And we'll keep you abreast, and everybody hang tight in there. So this is Doc from North America. We will catch you. Oh, tomorrow. I mentioned it yesterday. Tomorrow we start 3 hours earlier tomorrow because I've got to run out and do something. And then Friday we'll be back to the normal time. But tomorrow we are 3 hours different. All right, so this is Doc from North America. Catch you all tomorrow 3 hours earlier. So happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be very early tomorrow morning, which will be 5:30 a.m. my time instead of 8:30 a.m. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Thank you, Metho. Thank you, ALO. Thank you, who else was in here today? Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Janos. And we'll go from there. Ta-ta for now.